Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new moon in Libra. And as you can tell, I'm not at home again. I've been traveling and it's been wonderful. I just spent about 6 days in New York City and had the best weather one could ever ask for. So I got to be out and about and at a fun time in the city for everybody. And I got to sort of unofficially launch my book in New York. I walked into a Barnes and Noble at Union Square and I said, "Hello, I wonder if you have my book." And they go, "Oh, she's not there." And they go up, they went and checked and they had a stack of my books and they said, "Would you stay and sign them?" And I said, "Of course." It said, "And we'll take pictures." It's like, "Of course." So that's what I did. That was very fun, very rewarding because with all the changes going on for so many industries, whether it's things just are slowed down because of shipping for many reasons. Sorry, everyone. Um, the publishing industry has also been affected for that too. So having books on the shelves has been harder, and having setting up book signings has also been harder during this period than it was before. So I was very grateful for that. And then I've spent the last few days in Philadelphia, and that's a first. And that's where I'm coming to you from now. So the land of the Liberty Bell and the birthplace of the Constitution. So pretty cool place. Toured around on a hop on and off tour bus today. Again, stunning weather, hilarious tour guide. Did this all with a good friend. Feel like I really got a good pulse of the city, and then was in a neighborhood area that the best food. Everyone's very friendly, and it's been a really good time. So why am I bringing that up with the moon in Libra? Well, so much about the Libra moon is the need to relate to people, the need for beauty and harmony and pleasure and communication with other people. And you might see with the new moon some shifts or new beginnings or clearing of the slate in your relationships too. So if you ever want to reach me for a reading or coaching, or want to know more about the books, you can always message me underneath this video. Otherwise, you can just come on over to river-rain.com. You'll see phone and email. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook too, if you wish, wherever you reach me. Then we can set something up. And I offer a lot of different things. So let's dive into the astrology chart for this time around. As usual, it takes me a second to share the screen and figure this out. Is it letting me? There, 1 second. All right, 1 second. Sorry, everybody. I'll just pause. All right, so let's take a look at the chart. So it's sort of the first time I'm looking at it as well. As you know, if you follow me, I like to give a raw, honest, cold reading of the chart and my reactions to it for you. So the new moon is September 25th. It's at 5:55 p.m. if you're in the Eastern time zone. It has Pisces as its rising sign if you're in the Eastern time zone. So whenever you got a cluster of stuff in Libra and a bunch of stuff in Pisces, things can be really pleasant. Things are definitely not. No one wants conflict during Libra moons and Pisces risings. We still have Jupiter and Chiron together in Aries, though, which we mentioned last time. This is, fiery, raw, sort of, there's a wound of the self going on. So Jupiter emphasizing it is not so easy. What's it mean? Well, somebody has a self wound or a wound of their identity, then they might have a chip on their shoulder. They might feel they got something to prove. They might react or overreact really quickly and snap at you, because their sense of self isn't secure or they're not clear enough on who they are. So there's a bit of like lashing out can happen. And Jupiter would just sort of emphasize that. So just because a Libra moon and sun doesn't want any conflict doesn't mean there isn't any. They just don't want it to come out to the surface and they don't want to confront it. So the moon and sun in Libra would work very hard to find ways to calm it down, circumvent it, use all of their charms, and do everything they can to please or mediate so that nothing erupts. So this is a lot of what we've got going on when you see all the red lines again, sun and moon, Mercury as well, and Venus all clustered together, even though Mercury, Venus are in Virgo. They're still all close together. So they're really emphasizing, especially in house number 7, that we care a lot about how we're getting along with people right now. We care and we need our relationships. And so when you've got Jupiter and Chiron and Aries over here, sort of like in the first house, like me, and it's all about me. And if it's not about me, then what's wrong with me? And I'm gonna have a fit or a tantrum, or I'm gonna snap at you because I'm not sure and I'm not feeling clear about myself. And then you've got Libra and all those Virgo planets like, okay, let's just analyze this. Okay, let's just break this down. Let's just make sure this goes smoothly. Let's not have a big fight. We don't want to blow out. So there's a lot of like undercurrents of insecurities going on. And then there's a lot of like need to do damage control and smooth things out, which you might succeed at when you've got so much focus on relationships right now with Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, all caring a lot about the relationships. But classically, when you see a lot of things in the 7th house opposing things in the first, you've got a case of me or them. Which is it? Do I please others for the sake of getting along, for the sake of being closer? Do I give up something of myself in the process? Or should I be putting myself first? And with Jupiter and Chiron there, because the self is the wounded self there, you might have the idea that you're putting yourself first. Good selfishness, self-care, but it might actually not be that. It might actually be avoidance or bravado or something. So we just, as usual, we have to introspect and think about your motivations. If you're feeling wounded, if you're feeling unseen, if you're feeling overlooked, if you're feeling not important or it's not about you, it's all about other people, then you really have to take a good look at where that's coming from so that you're not just walking around sort of, bleeding all over the place emotionally and possibly wreaking havoc in your relationships. Now, the other interesting thing to note is that, as you can see, we've got a square So Mars and Gemini squaring off with Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus. So there is conflict in the air. It's just we don't want it. It's right there under the surface. Now, as we've said, and as you're probably reading lots of things online, Mars and Gemini, the good side is somebody who is super flexible, curious, up on all kinds of subjects and current trends, knows a lot of people, good at networking, constantly wants to do, 10 projects at once kind of thing, kind of person. And very often gets a lot of it done too. The downside of Mars in Gemini is the chameleon. In the negative sense would be, the classic thing, the two-face, and it doesn't mean that they're always two-faced, okay? Some people are, of course, but a lot of people, they might be inconsistent, doesn't mean they're two-faced. They might be very insecure and trying to please too many people, too many different groups at once. If Mars and Gemini person is going to have, their sports friends, and then their artsy friends, and then their music friends, and then their geek friends, and then they're going to have like multiple groups that they belong to and different sides of them that come out with each group. And then if they were to try to integrate them together, they might seem like, well, why are you acting this way with them and this way with them? Somebody could point the finger and say, well, you're not consistent. So how do I know you're being honest, or something like that? And some people might be doing that. Mars and Gemini is fully capable of having a double life if it wants to. But let's just say for the most part, most people aren't doing that. Take a look first at whether people are just a bit insecure and having trouble integrating multiple sides of themselves before calling them liars or two-faces or whatever. But you might be seeing, multiple faces of people right now. We've talked about this one side that wants beauty and harmony and wants to get along and wants to just have good food and good atmosphere, and let's just, talk and keep things interesting but light. And then you've got Mercury and Venus and Virgo that really solve things and analyze things and put a name on things and get to the bottom of things. And then you've got Mars and Gemini that's, as we said, multitasking and interested in everything and interested in everyone and spreading themselves very thin. And then you've got Jupiter and Chiron together there, wondering, what about me? What about me and my insecurities? And it's coming from a place of insecurity. And it's calling for a lot of attention. So it's also opposing Neptune and Pisces, which we didn't talk about. So that gets a little harder when the Sun and Moon oppose Neptune. Now you're talking about foggy zones, gray zones, things that are harder to name, things that are harder to pinpoint. You're just going to feel something off, but it's subtle. But is it real? Am I picking that up about this person, or is it me projecting, or am I seeing something hidden that I've never seen? I don't know. So Neptune just sort of can make you feel foggy and confused. And it would be, in this case, probably about relationships. And sometimes Neptune can just cast a glow. Maybe you're putting people on pedestals, or they're putting you on a pedestal. Neptune is, as you can tell, it can be wonderful and magical, and it can also be very daydreamy and escapist at times. And forgive me for yawning, but I've been traveling a lot now, and I'm going to go home tomorrow, and I'm pooped. I was not even sure I was going to do this video tonight because I'm so tired. So please forgive me for yawning, but I wanted to make sure that I did the video for you. Now, we have just, like I said, a focus on analyzing and how do I make peace and harmony in my relationships? Big theme. Now, what's interesting is this cluster of planets is making a trine, like we've said before. You see the blue triangle, perfect balanced triangle, and it's trine Pluto in the 11th house, which is all about groups and communities that you belong to. And it is trine Uranus and the North Node in Taurus in the 2nd house, which is all about money and your values and your work. Some of you for sure will be focused on your closest interpersonal relationships. Others of you, like where the energy is working well, is if you take a look at all your relationship patterns, not just, oh, well, that's just, with my friends, I'm like this, and with work, I'm like this, with my family, I'm like that. Try to broaden it. Try to see a deeper sense of who you are when you're at work, when you're intimate with people outside of work, and when you're part of your general community. Try to just be aware of what different sides of you are coming out in these different arenas. But this looks like a very good time for some of you if you want to be networking, if you want to be increasing your engagement with community, and if any kind of interpersonal skills that you can develop and improve upon are going to help you specifically with your work or earning more money. This is where things are working well. Now, the other thing where it's working well, even though it's sort of tough planets, so we've got Saturn here in Aquarius, actually making a blue line or a trine to that Mars in Gemini. So what's that going to do? Well, Saturn will just ground and stabilize all this electricity of Mars that just wants to go, let's do this all at once. Saturn in Aquarius will come along and be like, you need to consolidate something here. Pick one idea and stick with it and be stubborn about it. And Saturn in Aquarius might have trouble doing that as well. That's what it's here to be, is like open-minded, inclusive, coming to like, very, fair and inclusive solutions and progressive solutions. And Mars and Gemini might just help sort of brainstorm and bring a whole bunch of people in order to fulfill that. Sometimes Saturn, like if Saturn can play out many ways, it can be a super strength once people learn what it's there to teach. And until then, it'll be always trials and tribulations until we learn. And Saturn is an outer planet, so we're all supposed to be learning right now how to be much more of a globally inclusive society, not so that we all merge into being one thing or black or white or binary. It's that we learn how to hold space for multiple things and include them and not really put one over the other. And we can all pretty much agree we are still in the process of learning this on the planet. So Mars and Gemini could just come along and scatter that by just having too many things, too many options, too many things too many groups, too many things you're aware of, too many words we're arguing over, stuff like that. Or it might help brainstorm and uplift just bring more things in that we hadn't considered as part of that Saturn lesson, but they are working together right now. So even though it's not easy energy, it's still better than if they're squaring each other and there's conflicts. This is at least a productive influence. So I just get a sense looking at this chart that there's a lot of focus on your inner growth as far as how you see yourself and others, how you relate to others, and there's some sort of, desire to expand your mindset. I mean, we can't say that'll be true of everybody, but hopefully there's many, many of you out there listening who are. And that's probably the best way we can help the planet right now. Just keep working on opening your own mind and your own acceptance and inclusiveness of yourself and others so that you will model that for whoever you interact with. And we have to just be careful of this Neptune, Jupiter, Chiron thing. That's about it. Don't scatter yourself too thin, and try not to be so pleasing or avoiding conflict that it's ridiculous, because sometimes you do need little conflicts in order to clear the air and break the ice and make things closer. So don't be like the super pleaser, and just keep in check some of your reactions, whether it's coming from a place of feeling unclear who you are and your sense of yourself and your self-worth, and if you're reacting from a place of insecurity, because otherwise there's really nice feeling going on as far as like opening yourself up to meeting and including more people. So it's a very social new moon, in my opinion. So let's take a look now at what the cards might have to say. All right. Sorry, this screen is balancing on my lap, so it's not as stable as when I'm at home. All right, let's see what the cards want to tell us. All right. So our first card is the Hermit, which is, a lot of people might still be cocooning and hermiting in some form since the pandemic. A lot of people who were introverts just introverted more. A lot of people might be feeling like they want to withdraw, cocoon, go back in your shell, have some space. It's normal at this time of year as well. When it gets a little cooler, when we go into the fall equinox, which we just passed, it's normal you sort of want a cool down phase. We were in this yang energy of like masculine energy in the spring that just bursts, and then it gets extreme in the summer, which is like noisy and loud and social and colorful and do, and it's normal in the fall when you go into yin feminine energy that it's like, oh, let's take a break, let's step back, you like it when things cool off, you like it when it's a little darker earlier, maybe you like to spend a little time alone more, maybe you want to step back and ponder some things while we're still in this sign. So some of you, though, you might need to ask yourself whether you're in your shell too much, if you become too comfortable being an introvert or not opening up, because we just said this whole new moon's about opening up. So I encourage you to try to open yourself more than hermiting yourself. We all need some hermit time, but I'm just challenging any of you who have been hermiting too much or isolating yourself too much. This new moon's not about that at all. All right. Then we got the Seven of Wands, Seven of Pentacles. So, well, some of you are definitely feeling a pinch financially. This card says failure on it. It doesn't mean we're all failing, no. But are you being hard on yourself? Are you feeling like a failure for any reason? This card's about valuing yourself, knowing what's worth what. We talked about your self-worth. That could be anything. What's the worth of what I have to offer the world? What's the worth of my skills financially? You might be feeling a bit down if you're financially tight. You might be feeling a bit down if you're not valuing yourself enough. So we'll keep going. This might be like an undercurrent underneath all this socializing. Then we've got our good old Prince of Discs. As I've said, Crowley, even though he designed the deck, he did not like this card. This guy thought he was lazy-minded and self-indulgent. So again, to me, it's sort of challenging us all, like not to get complacent. How do you say this? Like when Mars is in Gemini, if you're already a person who's adding more things and more people and more ideas and more projects, you might need a bit of cooling off. But for a lot of you, if you are hesitating and you don't let people in and you're more on the cocoon side, this guy is sort of lazy about reflecting and thinking about stuff. He just sort of wants it to come easy. And it's still telling me it's challenging you to open your mind and not get too complacent or comfortable. Now, then we've got the Witch art card. Well, I always like the Temperance card. It tells me there is a higher timing going on than my own, and therefore not everything is in my control, and that's a nice thing. Because if I think it's all in my control, then I can beat myself up if I'm not where I think I should be, or people aren't doing what I think they should do. You'll blame yourself. But if you know that there is a timing greater than your own that affects you and other people and situations in general, there's something higher than us. I find it's a very calming idea. So, for example, with relationships that we're talking about, admitting when it's just a chilly phase in your relationship, maybe you're not as close as you were, doesn't mean you don't care, you don't love each other, you don't still want to be friends or whatever. Maybe it's a chapter. There's big things going on in your life and in their life and in the world, and it's all combined together, and you have to trust that there'll be a right time for this relationship to become what you want, perhaps down the road. To give people and yourself space with this. It just reminds you there's alchemy, there's things going on because we're a combination of energy. It's not just about us and our plans and some straight line or something. And that, if you really understand this concept and accept it, you will find a lot of peace and start to accept that there's only so much you can do to achieve what you want. Timing is higher than you. And we've got the King of Wands. So remember, we've said very dominant and strong-willed and fiery. Just goes in, dashes in, gets what he wants. And this guy can be pretty dominant and it's all about him. Or he could be really dynamic and helpful and just boom, boom, boom. He just gets a whole bunch of things done that nobody was getting done. Depends on how you see that. You know, some people will appreciate that he's a bit overbearing, but he gets it done. Other people will find him arrogant and controlling, and how come he can't just work with our timing? And we just talked about temperance, and then you got this guy. So are you dealing with somebody impatient? Are you? Are you dealing with someone who wants to control things? Are you? You know, there's a big message right now about like calming your will and just allowing something to be a collective versus just about you. Then we've got the Three of Pentacles. So this is always about productivity and hard work and paid work. It's a Capricorn card. Everything, you know, these are turbines and water, and it's producing. You know, this we could also correspond perhaps to the Hurricane Fiona that just happened. If you look at all the wind power and the waves and the power of the water. But so far, I'm hearing from people there's just been trees down. It hasn't been, I haven't heard of any life-threatening stuff, but I haven't watched the news officially. But that's the feeling it could be. Could be like huge wind and water power and what that can do. So again, the Knight of Wands and this, you're surrounded by, or you are encountering somebody very strong and ambitious. And yet the cards are like, do you cower off by yourself? Do you realize there's a bigger timing going on than what you would like? How do you deal with this person who's just dashing in and doing what they want? Do you appreciate them and you go, oh, all right, you do you then. I don't have to do much. I'll just sail along with you right now. Or maybe you resent it. Maybe you feel they're taking over, stepping on your toes. So there's something here to balance. How are you going to tackle that kind of situation if you're in it? Then we've got the Ten of Swords, which says ruin. Not very nice, but it's sort of when you crash. Your mood crashes, your mind goes, can't do this anymore. We are done. So we'll see what the next couple of cards have to say, but this is looking more towards probably capitulating and letting this King of Wands just ride all over everybody, which is not the lesson of Saturn and Aquarius, Mars and Gemini, which is like, let's bring in more people to the table. Let's hear how this group feels. Let's hear how this person feels. Let's see if we're representing all of these people before let's just brainstorm this together before. And these cards, the Knight of Wands and the productivity, and it's like the Chiron and Aries thing we said with Jupiter, like it's about me and I need this to justify myself because I'm insecure and it has to go my way. Well, if that's what you're around, it ain't gonna last. People are either gonna drop off, quit, stop talking to that person. Somebody or something is finito with that inner vibe. All right. Then we've got the Love card. Nice. So the Two of Cups means there could be some restoration. Now, does it mean that it's with the overbearing Knight of Wands? Maybe. Sort of doubtful, though. This is probably with other people in and around your midst. Sometimes it just takes one unusual or strong person to highlight things to you about yourself or about the relationship, about what you want. And then maybe you realize how much you appreciate some other people. There's definitely a sign here of getting closer to some people. So all is not lost. If you're done with something or someone, or you're done with certain dynamics in your life, well, you're just let it all go, because the love card is right after that. What follows after just saying, that's it, I'm not doing this energy anymore in my life. What follows is the love card, bonding, more intimacy, which is great. And then we have my boundaries card. This is always like Mars and Leo is always got to stand up for yourself. You got to stand up. You got to say no. You got to put your foot down. So could be that the strength of whatever bonds or love relationship that is forming, that it affinities that you realize that you've got with others might give you the strength to put the boundaries with the other that are difficult. I'm going to pull one last card. Okay, that's better. Then we've got the Nine of Wands as our last card. So strength, standing your ground. See, this is like taking the fort. This is holding the fort once you've taken it. I said no, maintain the no. I asked you, could you please respect me on this? Enforce it. Make sure that you do. Make sure that they do. So I sort of like that. I will leave that there. I mean, when you deal with a lot of like Libra Virgo energy, you're going to get people that care a lot about the relationships and spend a lot of time thinking about them and trying to find the absolute best way to say things, do things. They'll bend themselves around wondering, what would be ideal? What do other people need? What would make this smoothest for everybody and for me? A lot of work goes into relationships with that. And then when you've got this walking wounded, me, what's wrong? How come? You got to be careful of the conflict in the air and that overdrive to please, compared to having, if you go too far into pleasing, you lose your self-respect. So there's something here about open your mind, but also don't let your mind be pulled into pieces either. Consider people, consider things you haven't considered, but don't let it unravel what you know or what you know yourself to be. There's a lot of work going on around relationships right now. I think it's a good thing. So it's an interesting new moon for that then. And of course, we have all these retrograde planets playing out in this chart, which means things are slower and things are more reflective. So I find usually retrogrades put everybody into some sort of like rehash. I might as well call them rehash grades instead of retrogrades. Because you go back, it's like take two, or oh, thought I was done with that. There you are again. Kind of energy. So anyway, let's just pull cards for each sign and see how your new moon is going to go with regards to your relationships. Any adjustments, any new people, anything, whether it's more on the work or the social. Let's just take a look. Just need a bit of water. The other thing I will tell you about the moon and sun in Libra. The more you want to please, the more you're going to crave whatever stuff you do. So if you're in a difficult situation with relationships, personal or at work, and it's bothering you, that side that wants to please about Libra and that wants everything to be nice could turn into eating way too much sugar, could turn into drinking too much, because Libra feels extremely anxious if things aren't fair or peaceful or worked out. And they can feel it if it hasn't been. And it'll drive them mad. And instead of going in there like and saying, let's talk about this, or let's talk about that, or can we iron out this, or could we discuss this? Most of the time, if we're honest, most of us will turn to the chips and the chocolate bars and the beer and whatever, the TV, the video games, to sort of cope with the stress of this disharmony that's bothering us. So just watch for that. Watch for that one. And I'm guilty. I'm not saying I'm above it. I'm going to say though, I'm on vacation, so I've been allowing more food. Oh, such good food in Philadelphia and New York. All right, I'll shut up on the food now. But all this to say, a need to please and a lack of desire to have conflict and do anything about it often can lead down the addictive path. Now, Aries, what do you need to do? What's your message about relationships in general for you, Aries? The moon. Okay, you got to clear some air and you got to see if everybody's being straight with you. Now, if this is you and you are hiding anything, whether you think it's a white lie or not, the moon's not great for that. Moon is often confusion, states of mania, even. That's pretty extreme, but it can be. Heightened states of emotion, a bit of distorted thinking. Could be yours, could be others. It can be outright lying with the moon, hiding things. People that are hiding things from themselves. It's very tricky to rein the moon. So I would just, if it were me and I was saying, tell me about my relationships, and I drew the moon, I would ask myself, am I seeing people clearly right now? Am I idealizing anyone? Am I crapping on anyone that doesn't am I being extreme about anyone? And ask yourself, is that really fair or realistic? And I would also then ask myself, is there anyone around me it's not quite sitting right with me, not quite trusting? And just open your mind to, what might I be missing about this person? Is there anything I have not been able to see that is affecting this relationship we're having? All righty, Taurus. Mm, 10 of Wands, oppression. I would say some of you are not well surrounded right now. You might be feeling quite overwhelmed, quite depressed about the state of your relationships or your entourage. You might be feeling even trapped in the wrong place, the wrong atmosphere, the wrong relationship or job. And some of you, this could mean that you are breaking free of it, or that you're ready to, or maybe you have not so long ago. Because this card means it's time to get out and free yourself from whatever chains that you feel bind you. And by the time it gets to be the 10 of Wands, it's often very toxic, very toxic. So If you've left something toxic or you're considering it, do it. And if you're still in it and you don't recognize, if you're feeling depressed and stuck, and take a look around you and see if there's anything that is, in fact, quite toxic. And maybe you think, oh, I'm fine, I can deal with the it or them. Meh. Maybe you can, but why? Why should you? You know? This is a card to free yourself. Free yourself. Get out of jail. Geminis. The Hanged Man. I probably hate this card because it's so slow moving and it's painstaking, and it's hard to see things progressing. You're just in suspense, wondering what the hell's going on. Now, there might be people in your life, relationships, that feel like the hangman, where you feel like nothing, oh, no matter what I say or do, no matter how much we work on this, nothing's changing. Nothing is progressing. I'm so bored. I'm so stuck. I don't know what to even say anymore. It can feel pretty heavy, but the hangman does mean that there is a transformation going on. It's just a slow one. So it's going to mean that whoever you feel this about, they're in your life a while. They're not going away, because you're meant to slowly adapt the way you see them, the way you relate to them, and it's going to be like little minutia over time, so that when you look back maybe a year from now, you'll be like, wow, we've come a long way. Wow, this is very different than what it was a year ago. But it's one of those things where you won't see that as it's happening. You'll see it in retrospect. So right now, Gemini, you need extreme patience with yourself and whoever that might be. All right, Cancers, let's take a look at you. What advice do the cards have for your relationship life? And you got wealth. Interesting. Let me just get a little more comfy. And then there we go. Wealth. 9 of discs. Well, this card has Virgo written all over it. It's Virgo, 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 even though it's for Cancers. It says gain, actually, not wealth. Other decks it says. This gives me a feeling you actually probably know some friends who could be influential. You might benefit from your friends at this time, or from your social groups, meaning work-wise, raises your status, helps you with work, helps you with money, perhaps. You're benefiting from a lot of stability around you of people. And if you don't have those people, then you need to cultivate them. Think about where you can meet more people who are secure with things to offer. We're not talking about being a gold digger, okay? It's not like, oh, where can I go get some of what they have and schmooze up to them? No, not saying that at all. Cancers, you're always emotional and giving and mothering everybody, and you'll usually give your last pennies to somebody. Sorry, I gotta sit up again. Not comfortable. It's better. Okay, sorry about that. What you need to do is you need to be surrounding yourself with people that are more constructive and strong and have something to mutually offer, or they've got strengths that you don't. You also have those strengths to offer and help others. Some of you Cancers might be in a position to do that for someone else. So you're the one who's strong. You're the one who's helping raise someone else up. You're the one that might be helping. But I think it needs to be a mutual thing for Cancer. You need to make sure that you've got some people who do that for you, or that it's mutual and you do that for others. Otherwise, Venus in Virgo, as far as relationship goes, means like, stop being so nitpicky. Stop overanalyzing everyone. Enjoy them as they are, for what they are, and stop trying to fix them. Yeah. All right. Let's look at you, Leo. Your relationship message. You got the 5 of Cups, disappointment. There's people are letting you down, are they, Leo? Well, we all go through that with people, don't we? At some point. Mars in Scorpio, some of you might be feeling sort of betrayed or used. Some of you might feel some people are secretive or sneaky. You might be a bit disappointed at human nature at times because of these experiences. I don't know if this is a breakup or something that relationship you thought was relationship, or relationships groups you thought were secure for you. Maybe you're realizing not really anymore. There's a bit of grieving in this card. So what do you need to do then to improve your relationships? Is you just sort of take stock, like sit down and really take a look, like, where am I at? How far have I come? What do I need right now? Sometimes you're disappointed and nobody else has really changed that much, but you've outgrown things. So sit down and reevaluate what you need and raise the bar and ask for what you need and trust that you'll get what you need, and you'll be guided to who and where you need to go. It can help you, to overcome the disappointment of whatever you've just been going through and keep moving forward. Again, Mars and Gemini, great time to meet lots of new people. But yeah, just step back and ask yourself if maybe your needs have changed and you've outgrown some things, and start being open to where you might get what you do need. All right, Virgos. Prince of Wands. Well, you've got somebody around you who is overconfident and maybe a bit dramatic and maybe a bit self-centered. Now, could be you, could be someone around you, could be somebody you work with. I would think it's probably more like colleague or friend or neighbor or something around like something like that than intimate. But if it's an intimate partner, I think you might be realizing somebody is a lot more self-involved or narcissistic than you thought. If it's somebody around you, work-wise, colleague-wise, neighbors, whatever, friends group, and it's not really so close, but they're around, they are driving you crazy. And I feel you need to just take a distance from this person. This isn't going anywhere good. Pointing out their flaws ain't gonna work. correcting their behavior, giving little passive aggressive hints that Virgo, we like to do. Start work on this person. Just retreat. And even if it's intimate and you realize, oh, hey, this is person's more narcissistic tendencies than I thought, again, pull back, retreat a bit. All right, Libras. And happy birthday to all Libras. What is your... Oh, I am yawning a lot. I am so sorry. All right. What is Libra's relationship message? Well, the Magician, that's awesome. So you're feeling wonderful. You're feeling outgoing and ready to take charge and lead and be on and be your charming self. And I would say you're pretty busy and there's lots going on around you, so you're not bored. And this is just generally such a lovely, happy card. Look at him, he's sort of jubilant and he can just reach for any of these things around him, any of his tools. They're just floating in midair around him. And he just has to say, come here, and it'll come to him. So you sort of have a magic touch right now with relationships and social life. You're in a very good place. So I would say you're having a wonderful time. And you should definitely milk it, as they say. It's going well. Pick up the phone to more people, invite an extra person, gather people, do whatever it is you want to do. It's going to be a really nice time for you. So I'm just going to remix them a little here, spread them better. There we go. And Scorpio, what is your relationships message? And you've got 4 of Cups, luxury. Has there been an awful lot of emotion lately with your relationships? Has there been a lot of tears or a lot of just gut-wrenching trauma you're listening to or sharing? Has there been a lot of like late night deep talks under the stars? It's very emotionally intimate, this card. It might be wonderful sometimes, and it might be overkill sometimes, because luxury does mean something that is just at a max, And if you're talking about relationships, and Moon in Cancer wants to like nurture everyone, and it feels everyone's pain, feels everyone's everything. Makes me ask myself, is there any codependent relationship that you're struggling with here, where you're just so emotional with each other you can't tell where you begin and where the other one ends? Are you too enmeshed with anybody else's feelings and story, sort of thing, And also, are you sort of feeling like you're constantly emoting and talking about deep stuff? Like, do you ever is there any room for anything to be lighter, to balance it out? Because this card sort of runs the risk of like, sort of perpetual, let's say you talk about trauma, you're perpetually talking about that. That's all you can talk about. And it's the only lens that things are being dealt with. And it saturates, it's too much. You might find that about a single person around you that's going through something rough, and you might feel maxed out. They might need some extra help than just you. Something like that. There's something of a saturation point. So just take a look at that and really be honest about it, so that you can correct that and save whatever beautiful relationship is there, because it feels like the relationship is good, but it does need adjusting and talking about it just to to make it healthier again. All right, Saggy. We got the Three of Cups. Very nice. You're having fun. You're on the go. You're pretty content with who you know. You might be adding a little bit of extracurricular activity or inviting a couple extra people around, but you're really quite content with who you are and who you know and what's going on right now. You've got enough on your plate. You're happy with it. And it doesn't feel like you really feel the need to add more. Everything is actually nicely in sync. If you're working in teams, feels like it's pretty good. It's going better. And if this is in terms of a team, if this is a family, if this is, a group of friends, well, there's harmony, there's a lot of flow, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of sharing ideas, there's a lot of balance. Doesn't feel like there's power trips going on or so very harmonious, good time. And it doesn't feel like there's no need to like, oh, let's do more, it's going well. No, just it feels like just enjoy this. Enjoy this right now and fulfill whatever you've set in motion without like needing to add more, whether that's projects or events or people. Feels like it's sort of like if you told me, yeah, I got three good friends, I'm good with them. Well, great. So don't scatter yourself by adding other things to take away. Like enjoy and nurture what you got right now. That's nice. Capricorns, your advice on relationship. Well, you've got the Ace of Discs, so I'd say you're thinking about loyalty and stability in your friends and your relations right now. I think Capricorns are always thinking about and wondering about that on some level. Just get a feeling of commitment, um, whether you're increasing yours or whether you feel the person you're with is also ready to increase their commitment to your friendship, your projects, your couple. This is a lovely card for relationships because it does show stability and loyalty and something that's building that is solid, very solid. Could be a new friend that comes in, and if it does, it looks like it could be really a lasting one. Otherwise, I would say if it's intimate relation that things are moving into a better, more stable chapter for you. This is really a lovely message here. I think you're doing well. Now, Aquarius, what is your relationship message? You've got the Fool. Well, the Fool is always about having a brand new vision. Sorry, I am uncomfortable again. I am in a. All right, there we go. Yeah, so the Fool is a brand new vision, a brand new chapter in your life. You might be at a point where you don't know what you want, who you are, who you want to hang around with anymore, who you fit with, who you feel close to. You're probably looking for not to replace who you have, but you're probably looking for some new. And if it's not new people, it could be new activities to do with them or new ways of relating to them that your relationships need to shift into some other gear together. But it could also very well be joining a new group, adding lessons to your life. I don't know, adding volunteer work, saying yes to something else, maybe at your work where you're going to meet new people. But the Fool is definitely the birth of a new chapter, and it's you sort of have to have a vision, like otherwise, as it says, the Fool just sort of walks off the cliff if he doesn't think. what am I getting myself into? What's my actual vision of what I want to build next? And just by default, he walks off the cliff. But the best aspect of the fool is someone who says, you know what, I see myself in the next chapter of my life surrounded by people who are, and define it. Who are they? Put it out there. Where could you meet them? When you do meet them, do you recognize them? Do you initiate something? So that's coming into your life. But also, as I said, metamorphosis or change of your current relationships with people you already know. Those relationships would be going into new chapters as well. All right, Pisces. And you've got the Three of Wands of virtue. That's nice. So what you're craving is more authentic relationships with everyone. I think you're utterly tired of anything you consider to be pandering or fake or pleasing, or even though this whole moon we're talking about people pleasing, I feel like you want real. You want to know people are real. You're ready to be transparent and real, and you want that back. And you also need people who have a spiritual dimension. And, as we know, that's can be very tough to find if you're in your workplace, but you never know. In your friends, well, you have to look around and ask yourself, am I getting my spiritual needs met in some way through my friend groups or my extended social groups? Like you're really needing to know people are authentic and honest and who they say they are. So virtue is this card. You're looking for who is virtuous, and you're trying to be that way probably yourself more, and trying to bring that level into all your relationships, which is a beautiful thing. You just have to be careful to get to know people first, that they're not just very good at acting as if they are spiritual when they're not. It takes a while to know if people are honest, sometimes if they're consistent. So really think about who in your life is already like this, and just be discerning for that kind of level of relationship that you want, because there are nice people. There are trustworthy, transparent people. So we just have to have faith in that, be that ourselves, and discern so that that's who we let into our lives. Interesting reading this time, this new moon, isn't it? So I'll be back again on the full moon. I'm not going to do a new moon event because I'm going to be flying tomorrow. But for the full moon, I really want to do an online event. So if any of you here are still listening, I hope that you'll join me for the full moon when I'm going to have an intuition circle. And until then, if you need a reading, it's river-rain.com, or you can go to the comments here. And it would make me super happy if you subscribe and if you click and join my Patreon and support my free offerings to you. All right. I hope you have a wonderful new moon.